This room in the Saskatoon police station is unlike any other.
We have the ability to smudge in this room, so we have our picked sage, and then sometimes we're burning our sweetgrass.
This is where Angela Daigneault meets with elders, knowledge keepers, and cultural advisors. The Métis woman is an Indigenous relations consultant for the police service.
We have our medicine box, and so it's open to anyone within the service, as well as starting off any of our committee meetings in a good way.
Daigneault spent more than a decade in social work, but then followed in her father's footsteps and joined the Saskatoon police. Not as an officer, though. For close to 4 years, she's been the only civilian in the police force's Equity and Cultural Engagement Unit.
We're really about connecting community to the police service and starting to sort of build bridges between community and ourselves. We knew that relationships were struggling.
The Saskatoon Police Service has recognized it must overcome its dark history. 3 decades ago, 2 police officers allegedly abandoned 17-year-old Neil Stonechild outside the city. Part of Daigneault's job is to share with the Indigenous community the services that the Saskatoon Police offers and ask for their advice on how police can do better.
There's still, I think, a fear or a misunderstanding of the service. I think oftentimes people mention it's a police force, and I always try to correct them and say it's a service.
The Saskatoon Police's work is informed by the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's calls to action, including Call 30 to address the overrepresentation of Indigenous people in custody, and Call 40 requiring Indigenous-specific victim programs and services.
1039.
Daigneault says officers have a lot to learn, but most are willing. She holds workshops, consults on training for new recruits, and teaches police officers about the lasting legacy of the residential school system and intergenerational trauma.
So the upcoming Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women, Girls, Two-Spirit.
She says rebuilding trust between Indigenous people and the police service hinges on officers being more sensitive to culture, colonization, and trauma.
We have to know the folks that we are working with and serving out in community. And a lot of that is, like I said, the trauma-informed perspective, recognizing that trauma that came from the colonial effects of our country being put in place.
Daigneault says the Saskatoon Police Service is moving in the right direction, but that the journey is far from over. Among other things, she wants to see more civilians like her on the force. Yasmin Ranea, CBC News, Saskatoon.